Or what's not going on, you know. That's okay.
Hey y'all, welcome to our second attempt at this monthly video series that we call Agape Now. We're in the month of November. We just wanted to give you guys a little bit of update about what's going on, chat a little bit with some of our friends. Pastor Darren is back for this episode too, so it'll be short, it'll be exciting, and it should be sweet. So I want to invite Pastor Darren. Happy to have you back. Welcome to episode 2. What's going on?
It's good to be back in the circle after some time away.
Yes, glad to have
hold
you.
Things together.
And looking forward to hear some of your thoughts about our core value a little bit later. But also on this episode, we have our amazing e-board with us. We've got Brenda, we've got Star, we've got Patricia, we've got the whole gang. How you guys doing?
Better now. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Technology.
Yes. What you guys didn't see was me trying to get this thing to work for the last 20 minutes, but it's working now. So we're going to talk fast. We're going to knock this out so we can post this on YouTube and go on about our evening. First, I'm going to have Brenda up, who's going to tell us a little bit about what's been going on, what you probably missed from October, what's coming up this month. So Brenda, what you got cooking?
Ooh, let me tell you, I need to stay out this kitchen. At this point of the semester, we've had our study session. It was more like a Holes, that movie with Shia LaBeouf, script reading, and that was really fun. We've had multiple community check-ins and group meet, like text messaging, bonding, more like, hey, what does your space look like? Here's a picture of my messy desk. This month in November, we have planned a virtual cooking class, some more check-ins, the Jackbox gaming. I don't know if anyone plays, but start. And we have some team journaling sessions. So that's going to be fun. If y'all want more updates, more to be in the know, just to be in the know, join our group me, our Instagram, and we have Facebook. Okay.
Brenda, I think most people already know you by now, but for those of you who don't, Brenda is the amazing
oh no, I forgot to introduce myself.
The amazing president of our student org, helping hold it down, doing all the behind the scenes administrative work. So thank you.
I am so sorry. It's been a long day, y'all.
It has been a long day. I got a quick question for you though. So last month, our core value that we decided to focus on was growth in community. And this month, the e-board decided that we should focus on mercy and justice. And we'll have a little bit more in-depth discussion with the other e-board members a little bit later. But as the president of the org, I wanted to invite our community into why you guys thought it was important for us to focus on this core value for this month.
So we all know the election happened this month, and that was very nerve-wracking on so many different levels. And with all the things that are going on, like all the tension, all the mess, all the chaos, all the hate that's really going around, we've decided to focus on, justice and mercy this month to really just try to center ourselves in our community and be like, hey, what's going on and how can we get better? And what does justice, mercy look like for us, especially when it comes to voting, when it comes to advocating for ourselves, things like that. So
all that wisdom. Well, hopefully we could dig into it with the community. So if you're watching this video, we just need you to engage so you can make the e-board proud. Next up, I'm going to have Darren stop by. Just remind us a little bit about the resources available, because community relationships, that's a huge part of what we do, but supporting you is definitely our priority. So Darren, how can students take advantage of the things that we have to offer?
With the shutdown, a lot of students lost their jobs and still don't have them back. We've got an eviction moratorium, but I've talked to a number of students who are concerned about next month's rent and back rent coming due after the moratorium. And so we want to care for the whole person and walk alongside them, help them remember they're not alone in this, and they've got a wide community of support and resources to help and overcome some of those things, those systemic challenges in the day-to-day. So we really hope that in caring for the whole person, people can feel accompanied in this, tap into resources they might not realize were available to them, and just learn how to navigate this adulting. And you don't have to do it alone. A lot of the messages of the wider society are that, everybody's responsible for themselves. And yes, we need to be responsible as individuals, but we're also responsible to and for each other. And that's what we try to embody at Agape House. And we've got a lot of people who want to help us make that possible. So whether it be need with food or rent assistance or mental health support, or a variety of things. Maybe you're not even sure what kind of support, but let's have conversation, in a trusted space where you can count on community to show up for you in a real, tangible way.
Well, always happy for your leadership and even more excited to have you back. So hoping that we can finish the semester strong, Pastor Darren. Thank you.
We can do it if we do it together.
Pastor Darren mentioned the food packs. So check out this graphic real quick. This is what you can expect. So if you know anyone who needs a food pack, or if you yourself need a food pack, definitely reach out to us and we will get that to you. Here is my contact information. Never hesitate to email us or text us. We're available mostly all the time. So yeah, hit us up. Next, I'm going to invite the rest of our e-board to help us unpack this core value of mercy and justice. Before we do that, though, how are you doing? Star, what's going on? Patricia, what's going on?
So hi, my name is Patricia. I'm on the e-board. Life's been going. It's going really fast. I can't believe it's already November. But can you believe that Agape as a student org has survived this long through a pandemic? Isn't this amazing? It blows my mind every day. I have not seen anyone for more than 2 minutes in person since March. How tall are you guys even? I don't remember what you guys look like in the physical space. Do you guys have lower halves? I don't think so.
I've actually grown quite a bit. I'm 6'4" now. So.
I think I've shrank.
Me too.
What about you, Star? What's going on?
I'm just trying to load. I'm loading a computer screen. If that makes sense. Zoom is loading. Yeah, everything is going really fast, but I can't wait to jump into this conversation because I think I've been struggling with that, how productivity is used to measure our value in society, and I think that's very important for us to talk about this.
I think the theme for the rest of the semester is that school and academics is a very important thing, but it's definitely not the only thing. So yeah, some truth right there. So obviously you're right. We're coming out of midterms, got some holidays approaching, and yet we have to find the capacity and the energy to do finals, more tests. Anyway, it's a lot. So
yeah,
Patricia's eyes rolled back. It's a lot. So just know that we know that it's a lot, and hopefully the programs and the events and the spaces that we create bring life, right? Are life-giving for y'all. And just thank you for showing up and helping us unpack this core value. All right, so this core value. So some of you might know, we also do another version of this Agape Now video series, but for our partners. And our partner for today was actually one of our board members, Pastor Sarah, who serves at a local Lutheran congregation. And during our conversation with her, she mentioned a lot of great things. And it was amazing. But the one thing that really stuck out to me that I wanted to bring to you guys is when she mentioned that in this time of wondering, right, about what's next, about life in general, sometimes our anxieties and our worries, sometimes our anxieties and our worries might help us lean into this idea of a new life, right, a new way of being. More specifically, she mentioned how that this time could be helpful to help us reflect on this, cultural norm, this social construct, unfortunately, that we're measured and valued by our productivity. So Star kind of mentioned it a little bit. So I just wonder, what are your general thoughts about that?
Ooh, this is a can of worms, Antoine. I will say that. Y'all got time?
Well, I can say that I believe that everyone is more worthy than how productive they are, just to start the conversation off.
I think measuring everybody's value by how productive they are, or the work they do, or whatever they're putting out, is just a result of like a capitalist society that puts a price tag on bodies. And I think that it really starts within like our communities, and it's like, hey, I know you're not doing anything today, but you are just as valuable as you were yesterday when you were doing stuff then. Or just being like, hey, I see you regardless of whether you are doing something or not, you know. I think it really just starts with those affirmations, and telling each other like, hey, I value you, even when you're not like directly doing anything. Yeah, one day we're going to dismantle capitalism, but that's one of our other core values. No, I'm just playing. That's a different conversation.
No, thank you. I definitely think kind of what I hear you saying is that, reclaiming that space and reimagining what it could be, right? We don't have to accept it for what it is. We could definitely be creative in ways that we take it, own it, and turn it into a positive. Mm-hmm. What about you, Patricia? When you hear that idea that, unfortunately our society tends to value us based on our productivity, what we can do, what comes to mind? Or, are there any experiences or places that you experience this?
Like everybody has already kind of mentioned before, I feel like you just opened like a big thing for me. Oh, I could talk about this all day. But I think it's completely true that society does put worth on people based on their abilities. And if you think about the way that we treat people with disabilities in our world, and the way like we make things so much harder for them, like or like we have things like conservatorship where people with severe mental illness or people who are intellectually impaired, they can't make their own decisions. And I've seen that in my personal choice with like my internship, where a conservative client voted for the first time this election, and they voted for Kanye West, but they still exercised their right to vote. And I noticed that some therapists were kind of like, should he even vote? Like, he can't make medical decisions. Why should they vote? And I'm just kind of like taken aback. Like, this is the kind of people working in this field. And you wonder, like, where are we kind of going wrong as a society? And I think it has a lot to do with like the way we view people who are undesirable, and even the whole construct of undesirability, and even disposability politics, which is like the politics of saying that some people are just not worth anything. The same kind of thing that gave birth to eugenics and gave birth to the idea that you could sterilize people because they're not worth having kids. This is the kind of thing that, oh, I went to school for this, Antoine. I have a women's studies degree and a social work degree, and I'm ready to talk. But if anybody is interested in further reading and further thoughts, I got a couple book recommendations. Which I can drop them off.
She probably has the book sitting right there too.
Yeah, and these are the conversations. These are the conversations we have at our little check-ins. So, absolutely. Shameless plug.
Yeah. Please come join us, because we'd love to hear your thoughts and like hear your rants and hear like what you have to say, because something like this and like throwing people away and basing everything on productivity, especially in a pandemic where literally so many things are not happening, how can we consider like some people less than us because they didn't run like 10 miles a day, or they didn't like graduate in 4 years? Productivity is just like what Brenda said, like a capitalist invention that kind of pits us against each other and turns us from a community into a competition. And that's not who we should be. We are a community. And if you want to hang out with us, come to Agape and join our community. And we'd be excited to discuss mercy and justice with you.
Ooh, Patricia, you opened a can of worms, because I'm over here like, oh. Yes.
The second question that I would love to hear your thoughts on was, how do you see Agape, the student org, creating spaces that challenge this unhealthy norm?
Patricia, would you like to answer this question?
Sure. So I think as a student org, Agape is in a very prime position to really do a lot of challenging work, especially because we are situated at a student campus, like at a college where like most students are probably stressed about meeting productivity deadlines and meeting their assignments. And I think what we could do as a community and as a student org is create a space where we can sort of have a sort of an unpacking where people can come and people can discuss their feelings, and most importantly, people can be in a place that understands and sees them as someone beyond what their grade is, or beyond how many assignments they did today, or if they checked everything off on their planner, or even if they never even have a planner. Just knowing that there's a place you can go to and you can exist, which I think perfectly embodies Agape, is going to be so helpful for so many students. And even us as e-board members, I know that we often strive, like we're like, oh, let's meet today, let's meet, and let's plan things. But I think having that understanding and knowing that we are trying to reshape our world just as much as we're reshaping ourselves, and creating like that continued understanding of it's okay if you didn't do it today, or it's okay if your 100 looks like a 1, because 101 are constructs, and we can't let some white man tell us what to do. You know?
Patricia, I could not have said it better. Yep. And I think Agape is really good at creating these spaces and just really just affirming and uplifting each other. Yes, I could not have said it better.
Thank you both for sharing. Next, I'm going to invite Pastor Darren, our theologian in residence. Pastor Darren, glad to have you back. You've been away for quite some time, but I know you've been hearing some of this conversation. I bet you can't wait to jump into it.
No, you all hit on some key truths, right? That's a violent value. For society to value us in terms of our productivity, it says that our doing is more fundamental than our being. In other words, if you're not doing something, you're worthless. Now, you all named it. And I think naming it, that's the key, right? That's where justice comes up. When we realize something's out of order. And it's right from the beginning, what we assume. We're not human doings, right? We're human beings. And our worth is intrinsic. It's not extrinsic. It's not just something that's produced or some way that our lives or our labor is commodified, but it's inherent in what it is to be a living creature. And so when we're up against large institutions like a university, like an economy, variety of things that we encounter, we realize that these things have to be held together. We have to consider the person as well as the system that they're affected by, right? The conditions that students find themselves in are not just accidental, and they're certainly not just, a fault of that individual, right? We're all swimming in this stuff that's big and overwhelming, and that's why the community has to come together, right? And so when you share those challenges with each other, there's power in that. There's power in the vulnerability of speaking your truth of what's going on in your life, sharing that with others, realizing you're not alone, and then building the connections, right? Like, okay, what does it mean that we're all caught up in this? What are the alternatives? What can we imagine as community together? So I'm not just, waves crashing over my head, bobbing like a cork in the ocean, but how am I connected to others? And how do they help me sort out the meaning of what I'm involved in? And not just like, I'm not just a sum total of needs or problems to be solved, but there's something, again, inherent in just being on this planet, right? And so what does it mean that we're living on this planet together? How we might join together. So the core value of mercy and justice, we've gone back and forth with students over the last year living into this of which should come first, mercy or justice or mercy. And it's kind of a chicken and egg question to me. Like, okay, so mercy suggests to me that, well, if a living creature is struggling, how does other life come around that one? to protect that one. We see that even in the animal world, right? And so how can we as human beings see that as fundamental to what it is to be a human being? Is that we care for each other, right? Anthropologists point to the first healed femur as a sign of compassion, right? That because you break your femur, you're going to starve to death or be eaten. So if you heal a femur, that means you had somebody to help you. They brought food to you, they took care of you, they kept you warm, protected you from predators, right? And so it's something fundamental and ancient to what it is to be a human being that I think requires mercy. And also the justice piece. You know, if there's a machine that's tearing up that person, well, the community might look and say, hey, we need to dismantle that machine. We don't need that machine. We need to figure out another way to live in this world and be creative together. So that's the system and the person, to me, need to be held in this creative tension where they challenge each other. And then the community challenges me. Okay, what is it calling forth from me as a white man? Right? What do I do with the privilege that was given to me and unearned, that looks at the rest of society and says, oh, if you want privilege, you need to earn it. Right? The hypocrisy. Like, how do we undo that so that we can live into the greater fullness of our own humanity? And that's how I've been enriched by this community. It's like it questions, you know, my assumptions and how I'm involved with others to expand beyond those things, those categories. Thanks for letting me be a part of that, because that is a great gift. And I think connecting with our wider community around campus and the people who support Agape to make it possible. This is one way they're looking to us for these ideas. So to these questions of what do we do with these economics that are unjust or political power systems that are not representative, we're involved in transforming that. And frankly, you all can imagine that better than I can, because you're on the leading edge of this, right? The engagement of ideas with each other's lives and wondering courageously and how you're going to be involved in this. So I'd love to hear more from you about what are the hints that you're hearing within you about how this is moving you. You suggested a few things when you critique this value of productivity in society, but what does that mean for your vocation or your sense of calling or participation?
In order to get that, though, you'll have to subscribe to Agape Now Premium. Thank you, Pastor Darren, for your thoughts. Again, it was great to have you back. Definitely always take our conversations to a new depth. So thank you again. I just want to provide a moment to hear from some of our other students. So if you have any concerns or questions or comments about any of our discussion, feel free to drop it below in the comments. I just want to thank you all again for your time, for your thoughts, for your commitment to Agape and your vulnerability, just being authentic. And for the rest of our community, I'd love to have you be a part of these conversations. I know Pastor Darren and the e-board would also love to see you there. So definitely check us out, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, GroupMe, get connected so we can build this thing and finish the year strong. Did y'all have any last thoughts or invitations for our community?
Keep on keeping on.
Ditto. Yep.
Come join us.
Well, it's always a pleasure. Until December.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you both for sharing. Why are you laughing?
Okay, sorry. We're mad.
Thank you both for sharing.
It was too fake, Anton.
I know.
Thank you both for sharing, you know?
And your hand wave. Thank you.
Speaking of white guys, no. I'm not going to...
Let's take a pause to agree.
And then I love that segue. Speaking of the white guy, yeah, absolutely.
Antoine, you play too much.
Yeah.
Oh, and Antoine stopped happening.
Uh-oh.